Fuck me, I did it to myself. There we go. I know I'm an amateur. Sorry. Um, I know I was muted. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, go ahead. Yep. Beat me up in the side chat. That's perfect. That's not true. I made a mistake, and I do want to say that this is going to be a very serious topic here. As you can see, scrolling down below me is the suicide prevention hotline. If anybody is having suicidal thoughts or iterations or whatever, please reach out. You don't have to call me. Call professionals. Let them help you out. This is a subject that I do not take lightly, and it's one that is extremely important to me. So, as some of you may or may not know, last night's live stream, somebody alerted me to some despicable behavior by another content creator. Obviously, we're talking about Coded Friend, right? The despicable nature of what happened on a live stream with Coded is something that I wanted to address, simply because, and here's the thing, I have no plans. I will not get involved in a back and forth with Coded. That's just not going to happen because I don't care. That's not the kind of content I want to create. Generally, I don't speak about Coded for the most part. I've come on and I've ribbed him a little bit, but whatever. It was just, let's have some fun, do some whatever, and then leave it. Whenever he was doing all this shit with, whoever, Irish Demon and all those other people, that was between them. And the only time I would ever say anything to him is when I felt like getting him riled up, because he's really a despicable human being, and I do find it funny that he likes to hide behind the Bible and all that other shit. Especially after hearing some of the things that I've heard him say recently. And by recently, somebody, again, last night let me know that there were some despicable things said by Coded Friend where he was encouraging somebody to self-harm. And that is something that I will pecker smack the second I hear that shit and the second that the evidence is presented to me. So that's what I'm doing here. Again, this is not about getting into a back and forth with Coded Friend. That's not what this channel is not going to be like that. It's just not. There are exceptions. And I will call out this type of behavior simply because there needs to be, for every fucking asshole who does the shit that Coded Friend did, there needs to be 100 of us that step up and say, you fucking shouldn't say that. This is not okay. And you need to be shamed for this. I don't think that Coded feels shame, and he's certainly not going to feel any kind of shame with me here, but that's fine. I do want to reach out to some folks and let them know that if you are having, thoughts of self-harm, please get some help. Why can't people just be kind? Here's the thing. It's one thing to get on here and poke fun back and forth with each other. I did, Lisa. I did 100%. And I meant woodpecker, just kidding. It's one thing to get on here and kind of, go back and forth with some people and have some fun. And, even if it's just like a little bit of, like showmanship, like, oh, you suck and you suck, whatever, you know what I mean? That's one thing, right? It's quite another to purport yourself out to be this purveyor of, truth and justice and all this other shit. And I'm not necessarily saying that's what Coded Friend does, but he certainly does run around with this air of, if you don't act the way that I think is morally right, or if you're, doing this shit, then I'm going to make my entire life about calling you out. I do think that it needs to be, it needs to be like, if that's the glass that you're going to look at people through, then you need to make sure that that's something that you are willing to uphold yourself. Mr. Address says kindness takes work. It's easy to be an asshole. It's easy to be an asshole. And I wouldn't call what Coded did asshole behavior, right? It's shitty behavior for certain. I don't particularly care for Coded Friend. I think he is like toxic is just like the surface of what Coded is. I'm not sure how many of you heard. Yeah, so Brooke, that's true. You can be an asshole, and I've described myself as an asshole before, but I'm not cruel about it. Just like you said, not cruel. Yes, rules for thee and not for me. That's just not going to be cool. We're just not going to be cool, especially when we're talking about things like encouraging somebody to self harm. And before we get into this, and I do have the evidence. This was sent to me. Oh, you know what? Let me upload it. Gonna have to upload it. It was sent to me through some, and we'll call them anonymous sources for now. And I just realized I didn't export the video, but here we go. We'll do that right now whilst we're talking. This is how, like, I'm just not. Yep. Okay, we'll do that. Hopefully it comes out pretty quick. Oh, yeah. There it goes. Very good. Get rid of that. Okay. I'm sorry, folks. I should have been a little bit more prepared for this, but I wasn't. Shit like this really irritates me. Simply because we need to be better than this. All of us, myself, everybody. Right? I'm a floating head again. Yeah. It needs to be better than this. There are ways to, there's the right way and a wrong way of expressing yourself when you're talking about helping somebody who may be Sandy. It's not necessarily because I'm out of practice, because this particular topic hits a little closer to home for me, as I'm sure it does a lot of people. And so I'm not trying to say that whatever, like there's no separation, but I'm sure a lot of people hear this topic is very, very close to home. I hear something like this, and usually I have a little bit more reserve and patience, but this is one thing that I generally don't have a lot of reserve or patience for. I have sent out invites to a couple of commenters as well. You guys are more than welcome. You know who you are, to pop on and offer some of your thoughts on this situation. Yeah. Now, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a couple of things. Well, hang on a second. Wait just a second there. I am going to bring up a couple of things so I can do some screen shares, and we'll talk about these things that are irritating. Give me just a second to get my screens in order. Yeah. Oh, come on. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Oh, I know of a way to do this. Give me a second. It has been a while, but I should be better at this. So give me a second. Zachariah Hooper says, "Are you going to be doing more streams now?" Yes, I do plan on doing a little bit more, and I will. I've also have created content that I was actually in the works right before I got this information sent to me. I was in the works on getting scripted and whatnot. I don't know. I feel like a lot of folks. I say a lot of folks. I feel like some people are going to not particularly care for the type of platform that I am shifting to, or the type of content that I'm shifting to. And again, totally fine. I understand if that's not your cup of tea. I get it. I hope you stick around because it's definitely something I'm a lot more passionate about covering. So there will be some, some political stuff that gets put in there because these are things that I'm passionate about. And yes, I do have uh, liberal political views, as most of you already know. Um, I hope that we can still coexist, all of us, because most people know. Shut up. Sorry. Most people know that even though, all right, Blue Bear. Most people know that as long as you come on here with honesty, I have no problem entertaining. I say entertaining. I have no problem with opposing political views. That being said, I do want to address some of this stuff here. All right. So this is, here coded, obviously a coded friend talking to some people, and one of the guests on here was talking about suicidal thoughts. Well, I'll just play it and you can hear for yourself.
Up your biochemistry.
I don't want to live. I don't want to live. You don't get it, dude. Like
and then put a gun in your fucking mouth. Why create all this?
You hear this? We're gonna play it back just to make sure because I know Code is trying to walk back from this, but
and then put a gun in your fucking mouth. Why create all this misery for all these?
No, I'm not creating misery. I'm telling you the truth, dude. I'm telling you the truth.
If you have family and a mother, you just said your mother talking to you about how you're an alcoholic.
So here we have this guy who's obviously inebriated, talking about self-harm, and Coda's response is to put a you-know-what in his mouth. As someone, and again, I know that there's a whole mess of you out there, and it's important. Again, suicide hotline is scrolling by, and I'll scroll by this whole stream. I don't plan on streaming very long, but if you need help, call it 988. Real simple. Brooke McLeod, yes. Golly, I'm even with my glasses. We're just gonna say Brooke because yeah. Alcohol and suicidal thoughts are extremely dangerous. 100%. And I found out via the source of this video, who sent me this clip. I found out that there was a welfare check performed on this person because this person was actively in the process of trying to self-harm. Uncle Artie Bar and Grill, 100%, 22 vets a day. It's too many. Suicide is a real thing, right? It's a real issue that does not need to be handled in the callous nature in which Coded handled this person's suicidal thoughts with. Okay. Yes, Elizabeth, 100% infuriating. It is very infuriating. And I know that through the same source that Coded has also attempted to, like his excuse, and again, I'm paraphrasing, and Coded, if you're listening, I'm sure you will be, you're more than welcome to email me at plothole1@gmail.com. I'll give you a link and you can come up here and defend this nonsense. More than welcome to have you come up here and defend this bullshit, but this is not going to be one of the shows that you get to come on and fucking do what you want to do. I will fucking throw your ass out of here faster than anybody's I don't give a fuck. You're a giant piece of shit for this action along with many others, but this one here hits particularly close to home, simply because your calls for someone to self-harm is it is egregious at best. And I hope that somebody heard this, who knows who you are, who knows where you're at, and is able to effectively talk some sense into you. And I do mean that. I'm not calling for anybody to cause anybody harm, okay? That's not what I'm asking for. I would never advocate the harm of somebody else. Coded said some pretty fucked up shit, and somebody needs to let him know, like, who knows him personally, like, this isn't cool. Not that I think that he's going to listen. Not that I think that he's going to, change any behavior. Because, as Epiphans kind of alludes to, apparently this guy, Sam, I believe his name is, went back onto his show and apologized to Coded for this incident. Now, Sam, I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad you didn't go through with the suicide. Glad you got help. Continue to get help. But to apologize to Coded when you have absolutely nothing to apologize for. Coded, for you to even allow that to happen. First off, you shouldn't even be in a situation, right? You shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be at a point where somebody needs to, quote, apologize to you because they were talking about self-harm. Sam, I hope everything's okay. I hope you continue to get help and hope you continue to get better. And I hope you also understand that Coded is not the person to go to with your problems. Fax is the last person. 100% last person to go to with your problems. Obviously, for obvious reasons. Look what happens. He doesn't offer you any kind of actual help. It's just, his idea of help is to encourage you to do it or tell you to do it. Now, again, Coded has come on. I think he's walked it back saying that, well, I was doing it just out because I wanted him to understand that he really didn't want to do it. That's not how you fucking do that. You don't do that when somebody's actively in the process. You don't do that. You don't do that when somebody's inebriated and having these thoughts. That is not how you do this. And Coded, if you're not a trained counselor, therapist, or person who deals with this on the regular, you need to keep your fucking mouth shut with it. Notice how I have not once said anything other than seek out help from qualified professionals. Because I'm not a therapist. I am not somebody who speaks to people whom are actively involved in self-harm. Okay. I've had people come to me. I've had friends come to me in these situations, and I got them help. I didn't go say, hey, I'm going to help you. I made sure that they were picked up by emergency medical services and taken to the hospital so they could receive the help that they needed. That's how you handle that situation. You make sure that qualified professionals get to the person who is in crisis. It's fucking assholes like you who do stupid shit like this that causes people to self-harm. There was a 911 call a while ago. Somebody called in, was having suicidal thoughts. The 911 operator, being distracted, I'm hoping it was to make sure that emergency services made it to this person's house, didn't hear when the person asked if they should just go ahead and go through with it. The 911 operator answered yes, because he or she wasn't paying attention. And this person unalived themselves because of that misunderstanding, because of that lack of paying attention, because that person was not in a mental state to be able to make solid decisions. And we can say this about Sam. He wasn't in the mental state to make solid decisions, A, because he was drunk, and B, because he was drunk and considering self-harm. And for you to say for you to encourage him, or for you to say he should just put a gun in his mouth in that situation, what would you have done had he followed through with your suggestion? What would you have done? You have to understand that you would have been in some serious fucking trouble. Rightfully so, because you don't fucking do that. You don't do that to people, period, at all, ever. Yes, I'm going to preach to you. Yes, I'm going to chastise you for this behavior, because you need to be chastised for it, because you need to understand that what you did is beyond it's so It is so egregiously terrible. And as Cicero here points out, when you hear these things, being someone who's contemplated, being someone who's been in these situations, it's very triggering for other people. So you have to understand that it's not only the person that you are talking to in the moment, it's the other people who heard and could be affected by what you say. Because let's say Sam, right? We had this whole situation. Sam didn't go through with it. A well check was put on him, and he was sought after and looked after by qualified professionals. But let's say somebody else in the side chat who is just listening, like, you know what? I hear what you're saying, and you're right. Why don't I just go do that? And there, boom, they're done. That would be your responsibility. You could sit there and say, no, I'm not the one who made him do this. I'm not the one who made him do that, blah, 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 blah. But because of your actions, because of your words, somebody else harming themselves, yes, that would be on you. Legally or not, you know what? That's up to courts to decide. I have no problem calling you a piece of shit for that. You shouldn't fucking do it. Period. This is an interesting point. Coda calls himself a Christian and spouts off Bible verses from the heart. Devil with a forked tongue. Yep. I don't recall the part in the Bible that says you should just do it. There's more.
Creating misery for her. Fucking.
So before we get there, I want to go back just a sec because it's something that's very interesting here.
You just said your mother talking to you about how you're an alcoholic. You're creating misery for her.
So in your infinite wisdom and your just wonderful ways of helping someone who is feeling the way that they're feeling, suicidal thoughts, feeling guilty about whatever, in your infinite wisdom, you decide to turn the fucking knife a little bit and say you're causing harm to other people. Motherfucker, do you not understand that people who are in that mindset are generally in that mindset because of things like guilt, because of things like feeling guilty that we have caused other people harm and that other people would be better off if we were no longer around to cause them harm. What the fuck is the matter with you, you stupid, deluded piece of shit? Yes, this shit angers me. Be glad you're several states away, because had you done this shit, you and I would be having a very different personal conversation. No, that's not a threat. But you and I would be having a very different personal conversation. Because you don't do this shit to people, period. You don't fucking do that. An apology never should have come from Sam to you. Never. It should have gone from you to Sam and everybody else who you negatively affected with your bullshit. To sit there and tell this person that he's causing his mother harm because of his actions when he's in that state of mind. The fuck is the matter with you?
Fucking pud puller. Oh, I was diddled when I was a young boy, and I.
Oh, this is more stuff. Apparently, coded. I'll just play this clip.
I was a young boy, and I can't figure out if I liked it or not. Go fuck yourself. You liked it. You diddled. Oh, I was diddled when I was a young boy, and I I can't figure out if I liked it or not. Go fuck yourself.
As if we needed further proof that you're a giant piece of shit to sit there and speak about somebody who was a victim of sexual assault or sexual violence in this manner. Whether you disagree with their lifestyle or not is immaterial. You are a garbage human being. From Johnny O to you, you are a garbage human being. I wonder, will you cover Diarman Costello comments telling a person to self-harm himself? I mean, sure. Send me all of that. The plothole1@gmail.com. The number one. Not the letters. The number one. Plothole1@gmail.com. 100%. I will cover it. Yep. Yes, Beaver, it's a very tough, heavy subject. Again, I had no plans to go live tonight. I was going to wait because I've got some people that are owed from the live stream last night. I'm sorry, guys. It's just something that is really very much a it's something that I do not particularly care for. I do not like how people will get on social media, YouTube, whatever. They'll get on all these things to just spew this. Like, I'm taking a risk myself just even covering this. And I understand that because, these platforms are interesting and how they decide to moderate this stuff. Road No Last Name says, I guarantee that as soon as Coda watches the stream, he'll spend at least 2 weeks talking shit about you. Guarantee it. Let him. Go ahead. 100%. Talk shit about me, calling you out for being a piece of shit, for actively calling for somebody to self-harm, and then for shaming a sexual assault victim. Go ahead. Prove to the world. Prove to the everybody who watches you, watches me, and anybody else. Prove to them that you're a fucking piece of shit. Continue to double down that you are a giant pile of shit. All right. So as I was saying, I didn't plan on getting on here and doing this, but that somebody sent me this information, and I had a bit of a reaction to it. So yeah. I wanted to address it. I just dropped a link to the Discord. So everybody who, it's going to be pinned to the top. Drop a link to Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, get in there. I have the post displaying the sauces that, I said I would do. Somebody did the thing they did last night. They did it. So, you know what I mean? I am a man of my word. I was going to do it next week, or I was going to do it next stream, but this, here it is. So I had to, whatever. But get in there and tell me which one you think I should have to do. There's one in there that I am hoping that you guys pick. There are two in there that one of them is not very good, but there are two in there that if you pick, I'm like, all right, go. But there are other ones in there. It's like, I think it has, what is it, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 7 sauces in there. 2 of them are cakewalks and the rest are not. So, I mean, you almost have a 66% chance of making sure that I get lit up. Crippled Cat, you don't have to be afraid to say hi. You can say hi. Hi, Crippled Cat. Yeah. Okay. Well, I sent out invites. My guests apparently can't make it. Totally fine. It was like I said, it was last minute, and JL's probably doing JL things. Somebody else did send me something that Coded probably doesn't like people to see. And if you want, I was hoping JL would be here because I wanted to ask him a few questions about that. It's having that he has debated this guy philosophically. So yeah. Stan Haynes, again, if you have the information, if you have the evidence, 100% bring it to my attention, because that's the sort of thing that will be called out. I have no problem with that. I have no problem. It's accountability, right? Okay, cool. Drop it in Discord. Just at me so I see it. But yeah, guys, don't do that. If somebody comes to you and you don't know what to do, which again, that's a very difficult thing to deal with, just in general. Even people who are qualified professionals, it's still a difficult thing to deal with because you have no idea the mental state of the specific person you're dealing with in this. So you don't know what's going to trigger them, especially if you're coming into it not being somebody who has worked with this, right? If you're not this person's licensed therapist, you may not understand everything you're not going to be able to understand everything that's going on with this person. But that being said, for the rest of us non-licensed therapists, people who don't generally deal with suicidal ideations and thoughts from other people, 988 is and I think that works. I think that works statewide and overseas. Anybody in the UK, let me know. I think it does. 988 from your telephone gets you the suicide prevention hotline. 999, I believe, for emergency medical services in Europe, and then 911, obviously, in the States. Yes, you tell them to get help. You get them help. So if you can't get to them, if you can't take them to go get help, then you make sure that somebody does. Make sure that somebody gets them help. And I know it's tough, right? It's tough dealing with it. I've been there. I know how difficult it is dealing with somebody who is in that mindset, who is, talking about self-harm. I know what that's like. I know how difficult that is. So please make sure that you get them the help they need. And just a second, we actually did get one of our guests. He decided to pop up after all. So I want to make sure that let's see. And of course,
I surrender.
Yep, you surrender, but for some reason I am no longer. There we go.
There you are.
There we go. Yes. Yeah.
So, I apologize. I got you. I saw your message come through and I was right smack in the middle of something. And I was like, maybe I could try and get on, but I had to finish that up. And then I finished it right as you were like, well, I don't know if they're going to be here. So I was like, so.
No, that's okay.
But I figured I'd pop on and let you know that I did see it. And but you had a question because, the kind of like, I wouldn't even really call it a debate, but the kind of like back and forth that I had with this abominable piece of shit was kind of impromptu, but it turned into something. And so if you I heard you had a question, so what's up?
I was just curious as to how, because I know that Coded likes to put people's names in his title.
Uh-huh.
And I know this is going to sound a little interesting because that's kind of what I did here. I put his name in the title to fucking lambast him, but I don't have his contact information. I don't care to have his contact information, but
Right.
he's more than welcome to, again, contact me, send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to have him on so he can you can try and defend his actions. But so he put your name in the title of one of his videos or one of his live streams.
Was this recent or?
I don't think so. I think this is the one that you did the whatchamacallit, the philosophical debate.
Yeah, where I popped in and I wrecked him because he's an absolute idiot. So
he's not the best when it comes to these things. So I was just curious as to your thoughts on that. And really, I was going to use that as like filler. I say filler, not filler, but I was going to use it as like to cover the gaps in between, because I knew this was going to be very difficult for me specifically to cover this topic. So now that I've covered the topic, and if people are interested, we can talk about it, because I am interested to get your thoughts. Because I know we've done debates before in the past where you've been, who was it? That Andy Shatkin guy? That was a dumpster fire from before we even started.
Yeah, that was a bad one. And I think the Philip Coleman one is the pigeon chess player. Yeah, that one was a bad one too. The New Zealand guy who kept getting into arguments with you. So,
oh yeah, that guy was, and it's very. I will say, I will give him credit for getting me frazzled, but it's very difficult to do in a debate kind of way. But when I'm trying to moderate, and then you come after me in my moderation, then I don't know. It was so weird, but dealing with this person who was absolutely atrocious and just dishonest at best, right? Outright liar would probably be the best way to describe what happened on that debate. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but I can kind of fill in the holes with what I know. So I just
the biggest issue as far as like when going in there is like, obviously I was thrown the link from a friend who was kind of like, hey, you ought to like pop in the stream. They made it public, so you ought to just go in there and see what happens and stir them. I was like, I was right in the middle of stuff. I was like, I had a break, so I was like, sure, why not? It's coded, so I'll throw it down with you, whatever. I'll see what happens. They'll probably just kick me off after a few minutes. And it turned into like a damn near an hour, like conversation. I don't remember how long it was because it was just, there was so much. But the guy, he obviously thinks he obviously believes that he knows more than he actually does. He is next level ignorant when it comes to even the most basic concepts. He's obviously gleaned some stuff from the things he's watched and the things he's read, but it's not enough to provide him the understanding he needs to connect the dots on a lot of these things. And so he'll jump to topics that he thinks, or he'll jump to like concepts that he thinks are salient, but he doesn't understand the deeper nuances of what he's talking about. So he's basically just throwing terms out there. Like, I mean, it's kind of like when I say pragmatic theory of truth, and he automatically assumes that I'm talking about pragmatism as a metaphysical position informing, interaction with external realities. He doesn't get stuff like that. Obviously, because he's not.
That's because he hears terms and memorizes. He hears a term that he memorizes, or at least thinks he understands the concept for. When he hears a term that sounds like the term that he knows, you see this a lot in public office. I'm not going to name names, but you see this a lot in public office. But when people hear a term that sounds similar to something they think they know, they just automatically tie them together and think they know what you're talking about when they don't actually listen to the words that you're saying and put them in context.
And he'll do that, and he'll also what was it? The other one is like words sound similar or colloquial
definitions always fucking kill me. Like when people use the word theory, oh, it's just a scientific theory. It's like, do you fucking realize what that means? Like that's
it's just a theory. It's like, it's so painful.
It's just a scientific theory, and I'm thinking, do you know what that means? Like, do you not? You really just don't know what scientific theory means. It's one thing if we're talking about, well, what happened in this movie? Well, I have a theory, right? That's okay, right? Colloquially, I'm not going to bust your balls about that. But when you're talking about, well, gravity is just a scientific theory, I want to fucking slap you across the face because you're an idiot.
And they don't, and see, it's wild because we can easily expose that they don't actually understand what they're saying, because it'd be like, do you believe that organisms are composed of cells, or do you believe that matter is composed of atoms? It's like, well, of course I do. It's obvious. It's like, those are theories. The same methodology goes into developing those theories as it did the theories of evolution and plate tectonics and all this other stuff. And so. And like quantum electrodynamics and shit. So it's all the same. You just don't like the outcome because the outcome disagrees or outcome contradicts what you want to be true. And so they fall into that trap and do that. And he's also the biggest issue that I find with him is that I've spoken many, many times and debated many, many theists, and a lot of them I will give credit that when I correct them on certain stuff, they will acknowledge that they were wrong, and they will try their best to move forward. And usually it winds up being it's a bad habit, but they'll do their best to correct themselves. Coded is so convinced that he's already right that no one else can be right, and I can't tell. Because the extremity of his behavior, like you were pointing out in this one, I heard some of the things he was saying, and I was like, oh, I'm not even a licensed therapist. I didn't want to work in therapy, but I understand it. And even I wanted to punch myself in the face because it's like watching a monkey toy with a nuclear warhead. It's like you just know it's or a child or a baby with a gun. Right. You know it's going to be it's disaster. It's a disastrous. It's catastrophic, and so. I see this crap, but I can't tell if it's mental illness or if it is just narcissism to the point of malignancy in that respect. So
again, not being a licensed therapist or a medical or mental health professional, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I tend to believe that it's a lot more of column B.
He's definitely antisocial. I'm comfortable in saying that. At least what he presents online is definitely an antisocial personality. The guy is, I don't understand how anybody in the real world could be around him for an extended period of time, unless the individuals that are around him are so conditioned into simply accepting or not believing they are anything more than extensions of his own, extensions of him. Like everybody around him is just an extension of himself, and not their own individual people, which is just insane to me.
Right.
So,
hang on a second. So Warlock Holmes 420 says it's narcissism, even though that word is overused. So so again, talking about colloquial uses of the word, right? So narcissism. Everybody has a little bit of narcissism about them, just a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not. People take like narcissistic personality disorder, right? NSD, and that's narcissism. Like, no, there's a spectrum. There's a whole fucking spectrum of narcissistic type behaviors.
There's a world of difference between egoism or arrogance or overconfidence and someone who is like a narcissist and someone who is a malignant narcissist.
Exactly.
So there's a big difference. So like, I know we throw it around. It's like, but it's like, I don't call a lot of people narcissistic, like narcissistic. Right. I know of two from my online interactions that I can legitimately say are narcissists, and that is Coded and Darth Dawkins.
And the funny thing about both of those guys is that they present very similarly.
Yes, they do, absolutely.
And I don't mean with what they say per se, like their bullish behavior.
I mean, those are the only two I would actually be comfortable in saying that individual suffers from. Those individuals have antisocial personality disorder, atypical presentations, likely, with narcissistic tendencies or narcissistic traits. And I would say I would be comfortable in going that far simply because I've heard so much from them. but it's not something I just throw around. Usually I'd just be like, oh, he's just an arrogant piece of crap, or something of that nature,
Yeah.
But Coded is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, all he's ever given us is the presentation of a dangerous human being. He's just a dangerous person. I don't know if he presents a danger like on the street, but that the kind of psyche is just,
if this is not a like a magnified projection of his actual personality, you're not gonna say people are different online. They just are.
right.
There's not a lot of people that will say the things that they say online to somebody's face. I will, because whatever. I don't pull punches. I do
also
think that
look like you could pick up a car. So I mean, no one's gonna. I mean, you wear an axe on, like, you wear, like, when you go into battle, you wear your axe on your back like you were Jack Black in that video game you did. It's like, come on, dude, you're heavy metal. All right.
Well, but at the end of the day, people like to find people like us who are the big guys, and make their bones.
I guarantee you wouldn't say that crap to you in person. He wouldn't say that crap to me either. He wouldn't. Not standing in front of him. That wouldn't happen.
Not without a weapon in his hand, for certain.
What, like a howitzer, like an RPG from the other side of the street?
Something. But that's kind of the point that I'm making, right? So you have people that'll do this sort of thing online, and it needs to be called out, right? That needs to be smacked. Like, that hand needs to be smacked. And I'm talking about, figuratively speaking, nobody go out and do any kind of harm to Coded. Don't worry, he'll do that to himself. No, I'm not advocating for him self-harming, but I think his actions present the same way that they do online in real life. People tend to run into those who don't appreciate that type of talk, behavior, etc. And you ever notice how people who do the majority of, or who behave the way that Coded behaves, they're the ones that seem to get the majority of the issues, like the problems with people trying to cause them harm?
If you meet one asshole, you've met an asshole. But if everybody you ever meet is an asshole, you're the asshole. So these probably, I mean, and I'm the same. I don't advocate anybody going out and taking matters in their own hands. And individuals like this, and I'm just going to lump them all together, they're not worth it. They're not worth the energy. They're not worth the time. They're not worth the loss of your freedom, or the loss of your income, or the loss of anything. They're simply not. That right there is what they want, because it fuels their idea that they are and that they are the center, that that everything is an extension of themselves. I am so important that people are willing to sacrifice all this stuff about regarding me. And so all it does is fuel that. They don't get, and you're not going to get anything out of it. Anything like long term, you're going to lose more than you can gain.
Right.
And it's just going to validate them. That's the validation that they're looking for. So it's not worth it. Either the police, or, as my father used to warn me long ago when I had my behavioral problems, my father used to warn me, you ain't the biggest fish in the sea, son.
Right.
You walk around with that chip on your shoulder, you will run into somebody who does not care.
Right.
And they will be like, they don't have anything to lose. So they'll just take it upon themselves to solve the problem. And I was like, and it took me sadly too long to learn that lesson, but I eventually did.
Right.
That you just can't walk through your problems. And if Coded thinks he can, then the world will solve it.
There's a very famous instance of that when talking about Richard Kuklinski. Like, a lot of the people that he unalived did so because they irritated him some way, shape, or form. They said the wrong thing at the wrong time. They stepped in the wrong place at the wrong time. They moved the wrong way or the wrong time. Like, there are people out there that are far tougher than you or I or anybody else ever could be, who just don't give a shit. Like, they do not have the ability to care that what they're about to do is going to cause you harm. Zachary Hooper says, Zachary Hooper says, if I ever end up in your areas, can I get a hug from both of you? You two seem incredibly huggable. 100%. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if anybody was wondering, Richard Kuklinski was the Iceman.
The Iceman killer.
So he was the Iceman killer. And the guy was he's one of those legit true monsters. Like,
Not anymore.
Stone. I mean, Stone. The guy is stone cold.
Stone Cold
There's
Killer.
just
There are three things that you should watch when researching Richard Kuklinski, and I think they're all on HBO.
that HBO documentary was
Well,
wow.
there are three of them on HBO. Well, I guess the documentary was a two-parter, but there was the one that he did called the psychiatrist and the hitman. I think it was called Hitman Psychiatrist.
I think so.
Something like that. That one was fucking. That was my introduction into Richard Kuklinski and the Iceman. Yes, all of you who want hugs, more than happy to, when we see you in person. And then the Iceman tapes. Trying to strike record the Iceman tapes as well. So but again, my introduction to him was the psychiatrist and the hitman. Holy shit. And this is when Kuklinski had already been in prison for a while, like 10 years, 10, 15 years, something like that. He had already kind of, quote, mellowed out a bit because he was getting older. And he sat down with his psychiatrist, and, they had a very long discussion. And the psychiatrist, at the end of it, offered his, his professional opinion of what he believed was the diagnosis for Kuklinski. And he explains it very succinctly. If you get the chance, I think you can still find those on, I don't know if it's on HBO streaming, but I know it's on, I think I found it on Amazon, I want to say, which, yep.
Yeah, Warlock Holmes, like, Kuklinski was certifiable.
Hang on a second.
If he even If he even committed 1% of the crimes attributed to him, he's beyond a monster. He's, in my opinion, I mean, just from watching those and the diagnosis, he's a human predator, is what he is. It's just that's what he is. He's like
Kuklinski.
If you think of like a great white shark. Okay, the great white shark is not going to go out of its way to like harm. Like, I'm looking for somebody to harm right now. But if you find yourself in its way, you're going to have a bad day. And so
it's not going to be the best. Yeah,
exactly. He was just the human equivalent of a great white shark. He's one of those apexes that just
I would
swims
probably
through society.
Say more of a polar bear type, because once he got because a shark, after he bit into you and realized you weren't what he wants to eat, he'd be like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Polar bear though.
Yeah.
So Dave asks, where does Jose de Castro fit on my scale? Jose de Castro is a nuisance.
I don't even after running into him, everything I wouldn't even go so far as to call him a narcissist. He definitely has an ego, but the problem is that there is just interacting with him, and especially to our counter protest when AJ and I were there down in Tahlequah like that, his reactions were very, very profit driven. And so it really isn't about him. It's about the money that he is able to make.
There is a bit of ego there. There is a bit of ego with Castro. He's egotistical maniac.
He's egotistical. He's egotistical as hell. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that he's like a narcissist. I mean, predominantly because if you've noticed the change in his behavior since his release, like a narcissist won't do that. Because they're pathological, they can't do that. They would literally, the 4 months in prison would be a complete and total validation of his mentality, and he would go out and he would double down on that because look at all the attention that 4 months got him.
Right,
that is gold to a narcissist.
Oh yeah, he would leaned into that.
He'd lean hard into it. Now De Castro was like, I don't know if I want to spend another 4 months in the clink. I mean, it may even be a month, but it sucked. And so he alters his behavior because
county lockup is no fucking joke.
It's no joke. It ain't Huntsville, but I mean, it's still not fun. And but he goes in and he does his thing. And he like immediately after he was like, oh, he's throwing a fit like this, but he stopped doing the stuff that landed him there.
Yep.
So it was not rewarding. Having that kind of attention was not a reward for him. It did not validate him. And so he backed off. And then everybody started going like, oh, there were people who judged him, said, oh, you're just backing off. You're just afraid, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, he doesn't want to go to he doesn't want to go to jail.
Doesn't want to go back to jail. And that's what tells me that he's not really, whenever he talks about civil disobedience and brings up like Rosa Parks and all that shit, he can go fuck himself with that shit, because all those people that he evokes had no problem going back to jail to stand up for their positions. I do want to shift gears a little bit and address this comment from Beaver Zero, who says Johnny is like a football player that had his legs go into atrophy. Beaver, I will crush you with my legs.
I will eat your whole head.
Just like fucking Thigh Master, your head to just like.
He's like Famke Janssen in Goldeneye.
Okay, sir, I may not be like. So Beaver says, "Haha, we met." Yes, we met, and I have a disproportionately large torso because, unfortunately, my body type packs fat on just in the midsection. So, my legs they've always been fucking monsters. I'm not like fucking Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler or anything like that, but I've got some fucking distinguished. I've never had issue with the strength and the definition and the muscle in my legs that diminished like this much after my back injury because I did have some atrophy in my left leg, but I've gotten most of that back. But no, Beaver, I get it. You were mad jealous at the physique that you saw before you when you were here, but you don't have to tear me down to make yourself feel better. We're not about that here. We're about lifting each other up. Okay.
If you can.
Oh shit! Oh, fuck, that's terrible.
One, two, three.
Yeah.
Hernia.
Yeah, Uncle Artie's Bar and Grill brings up a good point. He says you would think having the chance of someone showing up at Coda's doorstep from Irish Demon Stunts would have given a little wake up call, but it didn't. It didn't. And
most
in
people
fact,
like him, they don't internalize consequences until they actually face them.
Until it's standing there, in front of them, and they have to deal with it in the now. 100%. Yeah.
But what he did obviously is disgusting, and no, I don't know why anybody platforms. I mean, it may just be for the lolcow, it may just be for the outrage, whatever.
Yeah, see, for a time, like at the beginning of all that nonsense, it was okay when it was just once, twice, right? But then it became a fucking daily thing, and it's like, fuck, man, I ain't got time for this shit. I got enough bullshit going on in my life. I don't need extra fucking bullshit, and it's just silly. I don't. Whenever I do live streams, I want to have fun with everybody. I don't want to cover topics like this. You know what I mean? I'm going to start putting out a newer type of content, and I hope that fuels different types of conversations. I'm still going to do some in the new content. It's still going to be some fun stuff. It's going to be a lot of opinion from my end, backed with evidence. Okay, so, puppy dog.
Look at my dog. Eat my do. What did I do?
I mean, I can throw down some mean barbecue. I will say, Cesare, I can do that. How many what? Oh no, I'm going to be.
Look at him. Look at him.
How many does it take, Johnny O? How many what? I'm curious. I said something, I think.
Licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Oh, Jesus. Well, right about now, probably like the commercial. 1, 2, 3. We just aged the fuck out of ourselves. You know that, right?
We did.
To lift me? How many does it take to lift me? I'm sure there are people out there who could pick me up.
Oh, I could do it. Easy.
That's because you're low to the ground. You don't have as high to go as other people.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I was like 60 pounds heavier a while ago. Now I'm down. I still have 50 to go though. God bless. It is what it is.
Yeah, so eventually that problem sorted itself out. If I had known, I don't know when this whole like thing with this individual who was having difficulties. I don't know when that went down. There's a reason why I didn't, why I haven't taken the pasting that I gave him over on. I guess that was Vegas VIPs.
Yeah.
Channel, whatever channel that was. There's a reason I haven't like posted it up. Other people can, but I haven't posted it up just because I really don't want that guy like on my channel. I don't want him on my channel. I don't want to platform him. I don't want to make people aware of him because I don't need to. And I'm just kind of like, nah.
Right.
So, and at this point, I don't think after that, I think I put the nail in the coffin there. I don't need to interact with him anymore because I exposed him for what he is. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what, he's just an idiot. Doesn't know what he's talking about. He talks a game. It's all he's got. And he really gets pissed when people like ignore him. And they just like they go away from me.
Oh yeah.
That's his trigger. And, too easy. So
it really is. It really is.
So
yeah.
I've broomed my experience of him. I'm done with him. He's like not even worth my time.
Cicero brings up a good point though. Coded exposed himself as an idiot.
Yes, he did.
Brooke, you're over 5 foot tall.
I just had to ask him questions. I asked him questions and he exposed just how dense he is. I'm surprised I didn't get drawn into the gravitational well of that neutron star. But it's like I felt it pulling. I felt myself pulling towards the screen.
Yeah. I did notice that you kept getting a little closer and a little closer, The
event horizon.
Lisa Alcazar says the best thing to do is just ignore him. Yes, and that's kind of where I've been this whole time. I just ignore. Whenever I would, like I said before, he's like a little toy that I would bring out, play with a little boy, and then put it back, and then go back to my, go about my business. I never cared about. What people come to me. Oh, you hear what Coda said about you? I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Just treat him like Burke and Aliens. He'll run off and go get himself taken care of.
Right.
That's pretty much all it is. The xenomorphs will handle it. We'll cover the thing over here, but he'll run off to save himself, and the xenomorphs will handle it. So
yeah,
he's one of those bad guys who's like runs away and just
he's a red shirt. At the end of the day, he's a red shirt.
If this was Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs he's Nedry. The dinosaurs would just take care of him because he thinks he's smarter than everybody.
No, because Nedry was smart enough to at least get himself into a position. Had Nedry not dealt with a hurricane, he would have made it. You know what I mean? He would have won that thing and been rich. So we can't call Coded Nedry.
I think that's the theme. It's that man thinking they're smarter than nature, or thinking that they are more, that they can control nature, and then the hurricane comes in. It's like, I could beat it. And it's like, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not that the wind is blowing. It's what the wind is blowing.
Yep. Okay. At the end of the day, that's all I really have to say about Coded and whatnot. I don't generally go to this length to talk about people, but when I heard Coded tell somebody to go self-harm, I was like, nope, because there are going to be other people out there who may have been affected by that, and I wanted to make sure to provide a different, more positive voice to those folks, so they can, know that there's other people out there who actually give a shit. You know what I mean? Whereas I may not know who you are, you may not know who I am, whatever. At the end of the day, if I can turn you on to somebody to get you help that you need, then that's good enough for me, right?
Well, see, don't worry about it, Brooke, because you're in the best spot possible. You don't have to flirt.
That's right. Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. Carte blanche. I don't need what goods you think you have on Coded.
Why?
I don't need. I know everything I need
It's
to
like
know.
Steve. No, I was like, I see
about
that, and I'm
Cody.
like Steve Martin, Planes, Trains. Why would you do that? It's just like I said, where's all my armpits are getting sweaty.
You know, why is that weird? It's honest. Yeah. Yep. Oh, see, now we got a bidding. It's like 200 pesos is like 25 cents. I got a quarter. I'll give you a quarter. I'm just kidding, of course. Yes, Zachary Huber says sometimes social awkwardness is considered flirting. Believe it or not, in the wild, I am a little socially awkward, just a little bit.
I have no game whatsoever.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
None.
look,
I have zero game.
I still to this
I don't
day
even know
don't
how.
understand.
I don't even know how I got my wife.
That's
Like,
exactly where I was going to go. At this, I don't. Yeah, I do not. People would ask all the fucking time, and look, I get it. All of my exes have been considerably more attractive than me, and that's not like me trying to fucking flex. I promise you, it's a genuine like reflective moment looking back at the women that I have dated. They're just fucking very attractive women, and I would just sit there thinking, no fucking way. I live with me and I wouldn't fuck me. So, I mean, I don't get it.
Well, someone said my game is my brain, and even that's kind of scary. I appreciate it, Cicero. I do. I don't, sweetie.
Uh-oh. We're bringing in the...
I got to ask. I really do. Babe,
Yep.
You don't have to come on. Is my game my brain?
Oh, yeah.
Confirmed.
I don't know if you heard that. I don't even heard her say that,
Yep.
but apparently it's my brain. Has it always been my brain?
I mean, it's the whole package.
Okay, I guess
The
so.
whole package.
Well, thank you.
You hear that?
I love you.
JL's got a whole package.
I hope so.
Yeah. The water comes from the Cripple Cat's litter box too. I don't even know what that is about.
How is that crown I keep putting on my head?
Oh, Carte Blanche is just trolling.
I don't even know what that.
I don't. Who cares?
I don't even know who you are.
Well, Brooke, give me a call. We can be single together. Fuck it.
Relatively. Single.
Oh, relatively. Yeah.
We're talking about points in space time here.
That's
so
true.
Depending upon where you are,
Depending on,
in relation to her, she might be single, she might be not. So it's kind of like, oh, hey,
yep.
It's all perspective.
Cecilia says this package is holy. I thought JL didn't believe in God. Here we go. Wait, JL has a hole in his game? Damn. Yeah. Good on you, JL. Like I said, I've never figured it out. I stopped asking, but every fucking time it was always
maybe
I would
that's
introduce.
it. We don't think that we do, and maybe that is us having game.
Well,
because we don't act like we do have game, and maybe that is what having game is, and not acting like you have games. Like, oh, I've got game, whatever. I've seen this is I'm a fucking nerd, so it's kind of like I don't know what this is like. Hey, how are you doing? That's fucking
I don't know. I guess I don't know.
So I have no idea. So maybe it's we act like maybe so we know we don't have game, so we don't act like we have game, and maybe that is the secret to having game. And Judy got that says no, y'all just don't have game. Okay, yeah, we just don't have game.
That's what it is. Laura Rader
like
says,
Egon Spengler, they're more interested in my epididymis.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Johnny. That was funny. Don't you remember when you offered to sell Coded a purple school folder full of info on Dan of WNN? Of course I remember that. It was fun. And it accomplished exactly what it was supposed to accomplish. So what?
I didn't use roll like Zachariah Hofer.
What was this? Oh, fucking hell.
I didn't even use roofies or nothing.
Perfect. That's good. Don't do that. Don't
That's a good
roof it.
thing.
Yeah. Brooke says, I'm a nerd. I hang out with you guys. Look, we appreciate nerds. Okay.
Be prepared for long-winded diatribes about the most inconsequential shit you could ever
Stupidest
imagine.
shit in the
Like
world.
dumbest shit.
Yeah, I've often found myself telling folks that if it's useless information, it's in here somewhere.
Could you imagine you, me, and Tony at like a Denny's after watching a movie, like in the theaters? Like we go to the theaters, watch a movie. Then
We'd fucking like we would be so insufferable.
We never.
We would be insufferable. People would like the cooks would come out of the back like, you guys get the fuck out of here. Okay,
you go.
You've driven away. You've driven away all of the customers. It's Sunday morning after church, and there's nobody in here right now. You three have to go. That's what would happen. Oh man, did I ever tell you the time that a buddy of mine and I were at this bar, and the DJ was doing like music trivia questions? Oh man, he would, he's doing his thing. DJ, he would get up before in between so many songs. I think he did 20 or 25 different questions. And I shit you not, we answered every single fucking question. And he was like, I'll buy you a drink if you know the answer to this question. 25 drinks later, he came up to us like, guys, can you stop answering the questions? Because I was like, well, when you stop asking them, yes, we will stop. We will stop. He was just like this and blah, blah, blah. He was like, fuck, buy the drink. What is this? Well, technically, the answer you're looking for is this, but the real answer is this. And it was just like that level of insufferable. This is just so he was just so fucking frustrated.
We are the actually guys. That's
yeah,
what we are.
100%.
Actually. Especially if you're talking to me, it's like, I mean, if it's like I'm like the Stephen Colbert of horror movies and shit like that. So yeah. I know that shit like Colbert knows Lord of the Rings. So
yeah,
look at that, Brooke McLyman. Was your brother a fan of Week in Horror?
Probably not.
Let me know.
Your brother, if he is a horror film fan, was probably if he knew about Week in Horror, is probably in the back like, no, you guys are wrong. This is what it means. Okay, listen to you guys. It means this.
It hurts me so I got a comment on the video I dropped today. I got a comment that there's I just saw Michael Myers in the background.
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did.
It hurts me so much. I did, but they're like, but they found something, and they feel like, oh, I saw that. That's so cool. It's like, yeah. I don't want to be the actually. I don't want to do that. I don't want to steal it from them. Yeah, you know?
Like, I'm so glad you found Michael Myers in the back. I moved him. This is what you do. This is how you do it, right? You're like, oh man, that's so awesome. So glad you found Michael Myers in the back. But I replaced him recently with Jason. Congratulations. That's how you will actually somebody without well actually somebody.
I feel I've grown because I don't want to actually people. I recognize no. Yeah, you don't want to lose any more friends.
If coded statement are so bad, why is Shiz covering for Costello and his vile comments to have a man self-delete? You have to ask Shiz. I have no idea. I'm not Shiz, so I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one. That's actually a good one. I've swapped well actually with interesting. Have you considered?
You know something funny that I recently found out? Do you remember Austin Powers?
No.
The first Austin Powers film?
Not at all.
Yes, you do. So you remember the sequence with the steamroller, right? He's like, get out of the way, get out of the way. The guy's like, no, and then he just stands there and he rolls over. Okay.
I know where you're going with this.
The actor who played that security guard was in Halloween Ends as one of he was in the gay couple. He was one of the gay guys who had bought the old house, like the old Strode house.
Right.
And they were living there. That guy has now been killed by both Mike Myers and Michael Myers.
Yep. Look, you guys are everybody here is more than welcome to converse and do whatever you want. I don't care. You know, you're more than welcome to spew and speak and talk.
See, this
But
is interesting. This is
hang on a
interesting.
second. Let me finish
Oh.
this. When you come in and ask me why somebody else is doing something, I'm gonna fucking know. How am I supposed to know why somebody else is doing what they're doing? I am not that other person. I can tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. I can't even tell you why JL does what he does because he's JL. I'm Johnny. Anyway, go ahead.
Although you've never seen us in the same room at the same time.
Yes, they have.
Yep. Actually, yeah, they have. No, anyway. So, but this is interesting. So, yeah, it's look at all the like Lord Radio's like, look at all the content coded being vile is generated. I know that it's weird. Like because I've run into this a couple of times. It's like, you know, bringing attention to certain things. There is kind of a line that we a line there is like at what point do we not say anything, or should we say something? Does saying something just, you know, give them what they want? I know it's a difficult thing. It's for each individual to decide for themselves. I bring attention to this stuff because I feel it needs to, because I feel that inaction is tantamount to complicity. So, you know, I know it kind of feeds it, and it gets them the views and gets them whatever the awareness that they want, or, you know, whatever. But I can't sit idly by. Just like John, I firmly believe that, you know, with such an important issue, such an issue close to Johnny's heart, there's no way he wouldn't be able to just sit idly by and you know, be tacitly complicit in allowing these things to just be out there. You know, he's not going to sit there like the friggin' Democrats and twiddle their thumbs and hold up a sign silently as though it's going to do something. He's going to open his mouth. He's going to get censured like Al Green. That's what he's going to do. You know, he's going to say something. He's going to use his voice. And that's what I do as well. And I know it's a kind of a double-edged sword because it's the fucking internet, but
right.
You know, but we got to say something. We have to, you know.
Yeah, and think about this. How many times have I actually covered Coded? Like for real?
Is this number? It's like twice?
Maybe. I think two. I think 2 times.
2?
Yeah.
So content is not a bad thing. That's true. Content isn't a bad thing. And I know it's that difficult thing because we don't want Coded to be, you know, like, you know, to have more visibility so he can, you know, like, has a bigger audience, but we need people to be aware of it, you know, and it sucks.
So the thing is not necessarily bringing awareness to Coded about what Coded is for me today, because I don't think that anybody who is in the side chat or listening to the sound of my voice doesn't already know what Coded is. This is more about providing a different type of voice for other people to latch onto, knowing that it doesn't have to be toxic like that. That regardless, like if who's that idiot in the side chat? Where's Carte Blanche? If Carte Blanche, you know, was talking about self-harm, then I would see that, do the best that I could to make sure that Carte Blanche got some help, right? Carte Blanche, I'm not saying you're self-harming, so fucking calm down. But if, you know what I mean, if that was the thing, if that was happening, you know what I mean, I want to see people get help with that situation, because I understand, I know what it's like to be there, right? A lot of us do. And instead of hearing somebody say, you know, to say the things that Coded said to somebody in that crisis mode, the thing that we need is people like JL and myself, and like some of the other people that are in the side chat that say, no, look, I understand you're having a difficult time. I don't know how to help you, but here's a way to get help. Let me make sure that you get some help. Let me see that, you know, what can we do to get you the help that you need? And that's what we need. That's what we need. We need more voices to stand up and say, speak out and say, look, you need some help. I'll do what I can to see that you get that help. I'll point you in the direction, and then I'll even, you know, a couple days later, I'll call you up. Hey, how are you doing? Were you able to find the help that you needed? You know what I mean? And that's more so what this is about. Yeah, it definitely irritated me when I saw that, or when I heard that video. So I guess you see a video, you hear the audio, whatever. It definitely irritated me because I know that there are times where I may have come across somebody being in that mindset where, and I have come across people where I was in that mindset where I was ready to, it was happening, right? It was fucking happening. And I just happened to find somebody who said, hey, why don't you come over here and let's do this thing really quick. Let's do this first. Let's go, whatever. I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to, let's do this first. You know, I had a buddy who saw me sit down at the bar, write out what I needed to write out, put an envelope, and I said, hey, make sure my kids get this. And they said, cool, I'll do that. I'll make sure your kids get this. But before we do anything, let's go to the grocery store to let's go to the grocery store and get your kids some groceries. My treat. And he kept me at the grocery store for like an hour. You know, your kids need this. Yeah. Oh, cookies. They need cookies. Let's get some cookies. And boom, boom, boom. By the time we got it, he's like, look, you're home. Just go to bed. Put the groceries away. Go to bed, and we'll talk in the morning. And that's all. That's what that's how he was able to pull me away from that, get me out of that crisis mode. You know what I mean? There wasn't like, hey, you need to this and you need to that. It was cool. Yeah. Well, before you do that, let's do this first. You know what I mean? It was having those type of people that, were able to have those influences and able to recognize what was going on and provide a positive outlet. As opposed to saying, hey, well, why don't you just go do this? I mean, you're causing your mother strife and pain and blah, 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 blah. It's like, fuck off. What is the wife listening to? What is she watching?
Oh, Buffy.
Oh, okay.
I think the season 6 premiere.
Stan Haynes, you can get fucked with that. If you're talking about myself and JL or anybody else in the side chat who's advocating for people getting mental health, get fucked. I will tell you that. Get fucked. If you're not, then my apologies. But if you're sitting there saying that I don't care about other people's mental health, you are 100% mistaken. 100% mistaken. You couldn't be more fucking wrong. Period. That's all. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say to you there, Stan. I know you're trying to come in here and cause a fucking problem, cause an issue, and like, what? Well, shiz this and shiz that. This isn't fucking Shiz's channel. Shiz is not here. She's not on panel. You have a problem with something that Shiz did, take it up with Shiz. I'm not Shiz. I don't know how many fucking ways I can tell you that, but understand, I'm not Shiz. This is not Shiz over here. This is JL. This is Johnny. Comprehend those words because we're not Shiz. I don't own Shiz. I don't pretend to tell Shiz what to do. None of that. If you have a problem with what Shiz does, you should seek out Shiz. Period. And to sit there and say that I only care because it was coded, again, you can go fuck yourself. Because look how many times I've covered coded in the history of my channel. Go back and look, please. Go back and look. You'll find 2. That's it. 2. One where I was playing a different kind of game to get somebody else to do something, which they did. And then this one here. So, yep. Now we're not making it big. We're not making it a big deal because it's coded. It's a big deal because it's somebody whom tried to harm themselves and coded encouraged it. Had it been anybody else who did what coded did, if you think that I wouldn't have called that shit out, you're fucking mistaken. So again, Stan, you're more than welcome to hang out. You're more than welcome to express your opinions. But understand that you're dead fucking wrong on motivations. So there you go.
Yeah, Stan, I get that. I mean, obviously, this is not Shiz's stream. You got a problem with something like there, you can take it over there with the people over there. There is some overlap in audience, but you obviously don't know Johnny. You obviously don't know me. You don't know our backgrounds. You don't know that the individuals we've interacted with. And you bring up when I understand that there is a tremendous amount of controversy around what Irish Demon did. Okay, so
Sure.
let me clarify something for you on this. Johnny, me, PhD Tony, and Irish Demon did pal around very early on in our careers because our groups overlapped and we kind of fell in with one another, and we just we're just generating content. That's what we were doing.
Right.
But Irish Demon lives in another country from the three of us. Okay, Johnny and I used to live in Texas, and Tony's in Australia. We're not each other's keepers. Okay, when Irish Demon's channel kind of took off, he kind of went and did his own thing, and we expressed when he was still working with us. We expressed when we didn't disagree, when we didn't agree with what he was doing.
Yep.
Tony, above all, would call him out and be like, I don't think what you're doing is safe. I don't think what you're doing is responsible, yada, yada, yada. Irish kind of divested himself of us. That was his choice, okay? We continue to work together because we like working with each other, okay? And we like working with PhD Tony. Irish went and did his own thing. I condemn what Irish did, but keep in mind, I'm not his keeper. I don't watch his content. Okay. I actually stopped watching his content almost 7 or 8. I was about 8 months before all the shit came to light because it was the same repetitive stuff over and over again.
Right.
And it got boring. So I moved to other channels. And so I was getting, because he was essentially, and I'm just throwing this out there, he was copying Team Skeptic. And I actually happen to like Team and the way he presents his stuff better because it's wittier and it's sharper. And he actually goes the extra route of educating people. But Irish didn't do that. So I was kind of like, it's a knockoff. And so I stopped. I lost interest. So Irish was doing his own thing. What Irish did, the vast majority of it, neither one of us nor Tony were fully aware of it. We didn't know everything Irish was doing until everything came to light because other people were paying attention. Okay? Now, it's not like an excuse. I wasn't aware. I didn't know what he was doing. And the minute I found out, I looked at the receipts. And unfortunately, I mean, I'd already unsubscribed. I wasn't watching his stuff anymore. So there wasn't anything more I could really do other than just not promote him. And I wasn't doing that anyway. So because he divested himself from us.
Right.
So, you come in here being like, well, when Irish was doing this, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't like he was telling us. It wasn't like he was like on Messenger. It was like, hey, look what I'm going to do. And I was like, no, dude, that was his own plan. Okay, so you got a problem with Irish. You go to Irish's channel, take it up with him.
Yep.
You got a problem with the people who are covering it or whatever, go take it up with them. Okay? If we had known about it, we might have said something. I can't go back and change the past. So, I don't know what you want. Other than what seems to me, and I think Johnny might agree with me on this, is to come here and stir the pot.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's all this is. I mean, there are a few, there are a few bad actors in the side chat, and whatever. I don't care. Do your thing. If that makes you feel better about yourself, go right ahead. You know what I mean? Say some twisted shit like JL's talking about. You want to ask me about Irish Demon, what Irish Demon's motivations were? I don't fucking know. Go talk to Irish Demon. I know. Yeah. You know what I mean? You want to ask me about JL, what JL's motives are? Talk to JL. Don't ask me. How am I supposed to know? Hey, what's your opinion? Hey, Johnny, what's your opinion on this? That's a different question. But why is Shiz doing this? I don't fucking know. You have to ask Shiz. Why is Coda doing this? Well, probably because he's a piece of shit, but you have to ask Coda. Real simple.
Yeah, Stan, so I don't know what the issue is because...
I know what the issue is. The issue is we're saying stuff about somebody. This is the thing that really kills me. One of the things that kind of drove me away from this whole thing, the whole YouTube and online presence, was all this fucking tribalism. And you fucking people who are, well, I'm going to support this person because that tribalistic thing, fuck that shit. Look, if I step out of line, I expect to be held accountable. I hold myself accountable if I do something wrong. If somebody,
invited.
if JL, if right now, if JL would come to me and say, "Hey, I defrauded, my YouTube subscribers of this, that, and the other," JL, dude, no, you fucking need to take account for that. He didn't do it, by the way. Calm down, fuckers. But
What did I do?
he didn't do anything. Like, yeah, right.
I haven't asked for anything.
But this whole tribalism thing, well, I'm a fan of Coded. Be a fan of Coded, but when he does fucked up shit, be enough of a human being to call him out for that.
Yeah,
Make him answer. Make him answer for that shit.
I'm sorry, dude. I mean, if you're a fan of Coded, you got bigger problems that we can address on this stream, dude. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I don't know why you'd be a fan of someone who would be so egregiously disgusting. I know that there are other egregiously disgusting people out there that have done egregiously disgusting things. I don't condone what they do either. But if you're here to like white knight for Coded, then you have bigger problems that either one of us have the credentials to address. Okay, because there is nothing redeeming, as far as I can tell, about that individual. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't have any clue as to the implications of the things that he says. Everything is an extension of himself. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anyone other than himself. He has made that abundantly clear. Okay, so I don't know why you would white knight for this individual when we call him out on the egregious, disgusting behavior that he's done. Okay, so that boggles my mind. It really does. It's disturbing to me. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, again, I'm not your fucking dad. You watch whatever you want to watch. Consume whatever media you wish to consume. Do you? At the end of the day, you have to answer for yourself. I have to answer for myself. That's the way it's going to work. So, if you want to watch Coded, watch Coded. It doesn't, like I said, Coded's content outside, when he talks shit about whoever, I don't give a fuck, whoever he talks shit about, I don't give a shit, right? You know what I mean? It's not my responsibility to white knight for anybody, right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's talking shit about JL. Okay, well, JL's a big boy. He can take care of himself. Oh, he's talking shit about, he's talking shit about your mom. Okay. My mother doesn't know who he is.
Yeah, just like what my mom would be like. My mom would be legitimately would pull a Thanos. I don't even know who you are.
I know who you are. Yeah.
I don't even know who you are. It's like what the... Oh, I'm sorry. This is totally off topic. Sir Little Wolf, watch Halloween 3. Yes.
Yeah, it's that.
Yes.
You know what? If Halloween 3 was just called Season of the Witch, it would be regarded as one of the best horror films of the 80s.
It was fantastic. I still love that it's part of the Halloween franchise. I do.
I do as well.
Even though it technically is we talked about this extensively.
Yeah.
It's a remake of Necromancy, which was the Orson Welles film that came out in the 1970s.
Right.
And same trope like this. If you haven't had a chance to watch Orson Welles' Necromancy, it's like Necromancy. It's like, it's a really weird stylized title, but you get a chance to watch that. I was watching that. I was like, holy crap. Like, this plot is exactly the same as Halloween 3. They just like repurposed it, and they put like the commercialization stuff with the masks and the whatever. But it's essentially the same plot: pagan god, ritual sacrifice, stuff like this. It's wild. But I love Halloween 3. It is an underrated masterpiece. Plus Tom Atkins, man, who just kicks ass. Turn it off. Turn it up. I mean, you haven't. There hasn't been anything in horror like that when that happened. There hadn't been anything in horror like that since Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Since the original 1950s Invasion of the Body Snatchers, when, the guy's rated like that, when he's yelling at the screen, So there was a brilliant moment. And then cut to black. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Sandy D says, am I allowed to be here if I don't like horror movies? Absolutely. 100%.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You don't have to like horror movies. You don't have to like the things that I like or JL likes. It's okay. We don't all have to be right. I got that past. JL's reading comments because I got that past him. You didn't even know what I'm talking about right now. Joshua Lee, so good to see you.
I heard you said that they don't have to like what you like or me. They don't have to like what I like. I heard you.
Yeah, but you didn't hear the rest of it. It's okay.
No, apparently I didn't.
Yeah. Said not all of us have to be right.
Shut up. Halloween 3, yes, with the masks, with the pumpkin mask and the witch mask
mask.
Yep.
Wasn't that the ghost?
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, I look it up because I'm not going to remember right now.
Oh, skeleton. The skull
Skeleton.
mask. The skull.
Yes.
The skull mask, the witch mask, and the pumpkin mask.
Yes.
So,
hello, Becca. Good to see you.
Silver Shamrock.
Yep. It's such a fun movie. Such a fun movie.
Oh, it's so good.
I was talking to somebody the other day about horror films, and it's always refreshing to get people to, like reminisce about the good old days of the 80s, the best decade.
I still occasionally will. I mean, there's a couple I go to. Obviously, The Thing is always top of my list, but you know, go back and watch like awesome like Night of the Creeps. Night of the Creeps. I just fucking love that movie. It's so good, and I'll go back and check that bad boy out. So Night of the Comet. I've forgotten how good Night of the Comet is.
Yeah.
So
many good movies came out of the 80s. Not just horror films, like genre specific. Back when genres were that genre, you know what I mean? Man, the best action films came out of the 80s. You had Commando. You had
but they're all going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger in them.
Well, no, you had Commando, you had Lethal Weapon, you had Beverly Hills Cop, which is an action comedy, but still emphasis on the action.
We're not going to fall for no banana in the tailpipe. You're not going to fall for no banana in the tailpipe. Ooh, Lost Boys.
Yep. Yes. Yep. But it's just so good. Gosh, I watched Smile 2 today. I won't give away any spoilers. I will say that I really appreciated the style of the film.
Stylistically,
stylistically, it was really solid with all the match cuts that were done.
I love the architecture, like the architecture of the different sequences.
Yeah, I was going to say the way that the cinematographer, I can't remember the cinematographer's name, but the way that angles were used, and not just camera angles, but like actual architectural angles. Visually, it is a very, very good looking film. Story wise, like the opening, I thought was just so. I was like, "Come the fuck on!"
Kyle Gallner's character from the first film, trying to, I'm not gonna say what he was. If anybody else has seen it, I think it's currently streaming right now. But if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Peacock. No, it's somewhere.
I watched it. What did I watch? I think I watched it on Amazon.
But either way, I know that he was trying to like do what he was going to do, and I thought the sequence was pretty intense. I mean, it was an intense little scene. Do you agree that it's excellent as a bridge film?
I could say yes if the third was out. I know that I know that their plan was always to do a trilogy. But I would have to see the third one because we've seen bridge films set things up, and the third one, it just wasn't good at all. Like Terrifier 3 is fucking just, come on. It was so dumb, so bad. I'm sorry.
Terrifier 3 was amazing.
It was not amazing. I don't like Terrifier series just to begin with, but that
the whole intention was just to outdo 2.
I know.
The only intention.
I get it, but Road No Last Name, that is not what I said. That is not what I
said. Great cinematography, fantastic acting, lighting was wonderful. The direction was flawless. Fucking hated it.
No, I said I didn't like the way it opened. Overall, I thought it was good. It was good enough. And again, if it depends on what happens with the third one, right? Yeah. Third one, you know what I mean? Like one of the best bridge films. I say bridge films. I don't even know if it really is a bridge film, but one of the best bridge films is Empire Strikes Back. Because it's arguably better than Return of the Jedi.
We nerds always have to go to the Holy Trilogy.
Of course.
We do. But I will say that Dead Man's Chest was also an excellent bridge film between pirates, between Black Pearl and At World's End.
I've never seen Pirates.
You haven't seen
any of them. Mm-mm.
Wow. Yeah, because Dead Man's Chest introduced Davy Jones and then set up all the pieces that were going to come into play in the third film.
Yeah.
And I always thought I watched Dead Man's Chest, it was like, this is a bridge film. That's what it was. It was intended to be like, to set up all the pieces so the third film could happen. And I thought it was just so well done. Not to mention the CGI in that was amazing.
Sanity says at the plot hole, what is a movie that was just plain bad that you loved anyway?
Six String Samurai. Six String. It's not a horror film. Six String Samurai is my number one terrible movie that I cannot get enough of. I kid you not. So
Yeah.
a lot of people have not heard of this movie. Okay, like they haven't. But I'm going to bring this up for one moment. So
I will say
I actually have a copy.
If we're talking about horror films, that's tough. That's difficult because like the funny thing is, for a while, everybody thought Event Horizon was a terrible film, right? Like that was a general consensus. Really? Yeah, like if you go back and look at the history of Event Horizon, people thought it was a horrible film. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it, and subsequently have grown to enjoy it even more. Yes, there are some plot holes, and part of that is because of the cuts that Anderson had to make. Right. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of footage that got left out that would have.
We need the Anderson cut.
We'll never get it because all that got destroyed. Unfortunately,
we need the Anderson cut of Event Horizon.
Yeah. But if we're talking about just movies in general, The Pest, John Leguizamo was a pest. It is just atrociously bad, but it's so fun.
Ooh, another one? Young Einstein with Yahoo Serious.
Oh, I remember Young Einstein. Yeah, where he fucking plugs in and starts jamming out at the end.
It's terrible, but it's so good. It's just because no one in that movie is at all taking it seriously. They're all just having fun.
Yeah.
And I think that I loved it. That's why I enjoyed it so much.
I saw that in theaters.
But Six String Samurai came out in 1998. And I caught it one time on cable, like in the middle of the night. It was like, what the heck is this movie? I have to, and I hunted it down. I finally hunted it down and found a copy of it. It's in my personal collection. And you imagine this. The setting of a Six String Samurai, we're going to have to watch this someday if I can get a digital copy. Is like in the post-apocalyptic world of 1990s Nevada, a rock and roll samurai on his way to Las Vegas takes a young orphan boy under his protection as Death and his metalhead horsemen chase after them.
Mm.
Okay, so the king has died, and the king was Elvis, has died, and he ruled over Las Vegas in the post-apocalyptic world. But he's died, and a new king must be crowned. So all of these rock and roll kind of like warriors are flocking to Las Vegas, to be crowned the new king. And the lead is played by Jeffrey Falcon. And Jeffrey Falcon was known back, like I think in the late 80s and early 90s, alongside with like Cynthia Rothrock and other people with martial artists and action films. So, but he brings it as kind of like this samurai version of Buddy Holly. And he's fucking amazing. The movie is so dumb, but it's so good.
So Dave Cernick brings up Napoleon Dynamite. And I remember watching Napoleon Dynamite the first time, and I was like, man, if you watched Napoleon Dynamite and you didn't recognize somebody that you went to school with in the character of Napoleon Dynamite, I hate to break it to you, you were Napoleon Dynamite. Because we all went to school with that guy who had bow staff skills, computer hacking skills. Girls looking like guys with skills.
Okay, I shared something. You've got to put it up.
Okay, hang on one sec. Okay, there we are.
That is a still from Six String Samurai. Okay, that's Jeffrey Falcon as Buddy, as the character Buddy. That's when they take on the Red Army.
Dang. I don't remember this one. Tina Slay says, have you ever seen Brain Damage? I have not seen Brain. Maybe I have.
That's Death. That's Death and his metalhead crew.
That's cool.
You know who he looks like, right? Come on.
Looks like or Buckethead, actually. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I if I have seen Brain Damage, I don't remember it. Oh, any trauma film.
See, look at this. I mean, this is just balls out, you know.
We ain't found shit. I love his. I know that wasn't what you showed, but it's what it reminded me of. Is Tony? Tony, are you here? You're not here, Tony. It's
Okay.
In Discord, Tony.
There you go.
Oh man, you should have told me. I would have been able to remove that. That's okay. There we go.
So yeah, but that's Six String Samurai. So nobody seems interested in it. Well, they shouldn't be. It's not that good.
Well, yeah. No, there's like I said, anything trauma. Those are all just not, when you think about it, right? When you think about like performance and lighting and all the technical shit, they're just not good movies, but they're so much fun.
Oh yeah, Class of Nukem High.
Oh, I love that one. Excuse me. We talked about this last time, but fucking Poultrygeist is my favorite. All right, we're in trouble now. I think we woke up. We woke up, Dad. Hang on a second. Let me get. What is going on here? Okay, Tony, you do look like you're coming through from a I don't know what, like
a ghost dimension.
There we are. From a ghost dimension. Oh shit, we're in trouble.
Okay, let me just turn on a light. Perhaps I'll look less white.
Being as you live in the land of Down Under where the sun is out almost all the time, you would think you would have some sort of beautiful, beautiful tan.
He's too busy standing. He's too busy hiding from the native fauna and all the Sheilas. He's got to fight them off, man.
Yep.
A lesser-known fact is that Australia is the skin cancer capital of the world, and we know that a tan is just damaged skin because you weren't smart enough to wear a hat or some sunscreen.
Well, Tony, it looks like you wear more than just a hat. You wear a whole beekeeper suit. You're like, look, if I, and this is coming from me, and I'm the whitest Mexican that you'll ever meet, but if you were on set with me and I needed a bounce board, I would just have you stand in place.
Damn.
Well, not
that's white. That's white.
Tony is supposed to be upside down. How do I do that? Let's see here. Which one is it?
The whitest man I know.
Damn, I wish I could do it, but it won't let me. Wait a minute. Maybe
to flip his camera around?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody in the chat. Coded's a piece of shit.
Just dropping the haymakers.
God, you think that's a haymaker? Let me continue.
There we go. I fixed it.
There you go. If humanity had a cloaca, it would look like Coded, and it would spew exactly the noxious, pustulescent crap that Coded. Seriously, if you have, Coded is like what you'd get from a rectal exam on Johnny after he's done 25 hot chip challenges in a row.
Jesus fuck. Don't let me stop you.
Oh, don't let me stop you. Okay. His value to now that the granny state has forbidden testing of nerve gases on living people, Coded's only use is as ballast. And even there, he's penalized by the fact that he doesn't have anything in his skull. It's terrifically devoid of anything except the noise of his own, butt sucking.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I know there's more. That's why I'm not interrupting.
The man's a human equivalent of a reverse fart.
Yes. Like,
Gosh.
you know, seriously, the man's, the man is so, and actually, man is using it. He's a manoid. He's a man-shaped piece of. He's a man-shaped piece of syphilis. Really, except without the charm or the warmth. If you see, I don't know how you guys are still on the same continent as this thing, because I would have left.
I'd call him a cunt, but he doesn't have the depth of the capacity for pleasure.
Exactly so. Yeah. And the pathetic, just so pathetic. The attention-seeking behaviour. For fuck's sake, grow up. Like, he made 3 videos where he tagged me in the video description.
Is he calling you GED Tony still?
Yeah, I don't care. Say what you like. No one gives a fuck. You've never said anything worth listening to or responding to in, the misapplication of biomass and time that you call a life. Fuck off. We'll all throw a party when you're dead. But how we'll be able to tell that your brain has stopped activating is anybody's guess, because it's certainly not going to show up on an EKG.
Well, I think it'll be the exact opposite of when somebody that we love passes away. We say the world is a little bit dimmer. Is that all of a sudden we'll wake up one day and the world would be just that much brighter? Like,
leaving
we'll all leave our homes and be like, I feel like today's going to be a good day. It's just a good energy in the world, All
What's
of a
going
sudden,
on,
Johnny wakes up and he watches the movie. He's like, you know what? I actually liked this thing.
Oh, fuck off.
Coded must be dead.
Oh man, let's be careful now. We don't want to, like I said, he might be a garbage human being, but
yeah, I'm not advocating that anybody harm COVID, because he's just not worth that level of effort or attention. Just ignore him and wait for the universe to flush.
that's fair. Yeah. Yep.
Actually, I disrupted the conversation. It looked like you might be discussing films. So.
Oh, we were, but when you decided to come in and then just lay your big D on screen for us, I had to sit back and just watch it happen.
When he is gone, the trees will breathe a sigh of relief. They know they won't be wasted. Just like,
yes. Oh, dear, oh dear. I mentioned, so have you seen Nosferatu? Have you gentlemen seen Nosferatu?
I've seen the original.
Okay.
I have not watched the new one yet. The extended cut is currently on my list because it's on Hulu. So I do plan on sitting down and watching it.
There's an extended cut, is there?
Yes.
Okay.
Already.
I'm not gonna get my my Anderson cut of Event Horizon, so I'll have to watch it.
Nobody's gonna get it. It was destroyed. All that footage was destroyed.
It's kind of like Entertainment, like the Entertainment One. I hate them as a production company, but Entertainment One, or actually they're a distribution company. I hate them because they do production and distribution, but they have the director's cut of Knights of Badassdom, and they will not release it. So they've only released that I still enjoyed Knights of Badassdom. It's a fun little film, but they won't release the actual director's cut of it, which is actually supposed to be like a lot more on the horror and the gore than on the comedy. And so I'm a little annoyed about that because that was the only tweet of mine that Joe Lynch, director Joe Lynch, ever liked and retweeted. I was like, it's been 10 years. Give us the Lynch cut. And Joe Lynch And even Joe Lynch himself was like, "Yeah, I'd really like that.
I'd like to
nice."
see that.
So
I
I'd
would like to see that myself.
that.
Speaking of things finally getting released, you see, we're actually going to get the Peter Dinklage
Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger. It's finally coming out. Yeah.
Peter Dinklage is an outstanding actor who I feel has had far too few movie roles.
I think so, but I think the reason, I know the reason is because he turns down like traditional roles that get sent to little people or dwarfs. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that shit. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Have some dignity. You give me a fucking role that I can play. Give me something I could, stretch my wings to show you that I'm not just a fucking leprechaun or an elf,
And he's definitely not. He's, I think, an outstandingly talented actor.
Absolutely.
Brings it, he brought immense gravitas to Game of Thrones, obviously.
Never watched it.
But never watched it. His role in what's that X-Men film?
Not First Class.
Yeah.
It was Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. Yeah, that was just a good movie.
He was
it was a good film, but he's also very good in it.
Yes.
Hell,
he was even good in Elf.
Yeah. And in Knights of Badassdom, right?
He was excellent in Knights of Badassdom. I loved him as Hung. Fucking loved him in that.
Just which I think is I think a testament of a great actor is somebody who has that commitment to comedy or that ability for comedy. And playing sort of the unrelentingly intense nerd who never lets it drop. It reminds me of that Calvin and Hobbes cartoon is, like when you're serious about having fun, it's hardly any fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Tim Hicks says he was good in Pixels. I agree. He was probably one of the few things that was good.
He was the best part of Pixels, and just because for those of us who are familiar with the Billy, what's his last name? Billy. The
character that Firestarter was based on,
that Billy Mitchell. That Billy
Mitchell.
Those who are familiar with the Billy Mitchell saga, he was pitch perfect.
Yep.
And the Serena was it the Serena Martha sandwich?
The Serena Martha sandwich. Pick one. We'll set up a coffee. Serena, and we are closed. Yeah, he was so good. His timing, his delivery, everything about that character he brought. It was good. It really is one of the very few reasons to watch Pixels. And here's the thing: I enjoyed Pixels. I know a lot of people give it some hate, but it was a fun movie because
it was cute.
Yeah, it was just fun, right? Very nostalgic for some of us older folks. But people are like, come on, it's Adam Sandler. Okay,
I do like Adam Sandler, and that one. What got me was him leaning into the criticism is like, how does someone like Adam Sandler always get these super super hot chicks? And he kind of leaned into that. It's kind of like, it is kind of ridiculous, but hey, it's a movie.
Yeah.
So I dug that kind of. He can laugh at himself, which is fun.
Right. Well, if you think about it, his wife is not an unattractive woman.
No.
She's a very good-looking woman, and he's every movie he's in.
I remember watching this shows some misspent youth. I remember watching the director's cut of Equilibrium, and the director gets to the final fight and says, I was going to have this be a long fight, but this is my fantasy, and in my fantasy, I just kick your ass.
We're talking about the final when it's was it Tay Diggs? When he's just like boom boom flap, dead, and I was like, sweet.
That's exactly the scene where he left it out. And yes, having seen Equilibrium, having seen the director's commentary on Equilibrium, I've watched that movie way too many times, largely because of my stepson. Yeah, Dogma's not a bad favorite Kevin Smith film. So
Dogma is a good one, but a holy bartender, get it? A holy bartender, I get it. It's a great one. But Dogma is good, especially if you watch the kicker about Dogma is that there was so much that Kevin had to cut out of that to make it for the runtime.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of really excellent material that was extremely well acted and well written that just didn't make it into it. So the theatrical release was very watered down. If you watch all of the deleted scenes, they offer a lot more context that makes a lot of the scenes that you did see in the theatrical cut far more harder hitting, which I really enjoyed, especially like things with Azrael and Loki and Bartleby. But Kevin Smith's best film is still Chasing Amy, because I think that right there, Chasing Amy was, in my opinion, the one time he has ever had something real to say. The theme of the film was that Holden is trying. It's like he's lost. He doesn't have any motivation. He doesn't have anything to say. The comic that made them famous was when he had something to say. And then his struggles where he was looking for something new to say. He was like, I don't have anything to say. And so everything is just kind of like, funny books to make money. He's kind of like listing through life until he meets Alyssa. And that's why after their relationship, he finally had something to say, and he released Chasing Amy as a comic book. And so I like that because Chasing Amy was something Kevin Smith needed to say, because there was a lot of
I still think his
personal
best
shit.
movie is Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
That movie is just funny as fuck.
Yeah. It's got some great lines coming out of that movie.
Dude,
Frosted me like a fucking cake.
There's one, you know who Tyler Labine is, right? Tyler Labine, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah.
When Tyler Labine comes in as the drunk football fan,
Yep.
it's like, all right. And then he puts like, chuck 'em football. It was such a small role, but it's so good.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you take? Chick frosted me like I was a fucking cake. Whatever the hell this guy used to do, before we started doing this. I was a white supremacist.
Yeah.
It's like, the fuck out of here.
There's so many good lines.
Dude, Tisha Campbell was amazing. That how this guy director can go be up in here, I'll put his hands on me. Ain't nobody put his hands on me trying to grab me and shit. Ain't nobody trying to grab on you. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Ain't nobody trying to grab on you. Craig Anderson and Tisha Campbell were amazing.
Great. Yeah, and she had a small role in that, but no, it was perfect.
I love my wife. She means everything to me. She's my entire world. And if you had to do it all over again, I'd stay at home and jerk off. That woman is the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many good lines came out of that movie. It was just so funny.
That is the
the old man, the old coffee shop.
Yeah.
And Tuesday, is this a new holiday?
Just the whole,
it's so amazing.
like the whole premise of the movie. I got to pay some bills, so let's make a amateur porn.
Tell you.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Alanis Morissette is God, and George Carlin is a cardinal. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fill them pews, people. Kind of like the tobacco company. Oh Christ! If only we had their numbers. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Just George Christ! If only we had their numbers.
Yep. Oh man. So yeah. And then you want to get into his horror films and look at Tusk.
Tusk left me speechless for about 5 minutes because that was one of the movies when I was doing press, and it was one of the movies I got to screen early, and I was in that chair, and when that thing came up, like written and directed by Kevin Smith, I was like, I didn't know how to react to that movie when it was done with it. The whole the ending sequence with Justin and the evil doctor. Oh, I totally spaced on his name. I'll remember here in a moment because he's a phenomenal actor. Quentin Tarantino used him a whole bunch.
Oh,
but
yeah.
And he was in Red State. I thought Red State was so good, but I didn't. I was like, what the hell am I watching? Like, this is insane. It's like, but hey.
Oh, Michael Parks.
Yeah.
Which
is messed up because I've used him in multiple clips in my content, because he's amazing.
I gotta say, I feel bad for Haley Joel Osment because he grew up. Well, excuse me. Well, most of him grew up. His face did.
Mhm.
Well, now he's got the beard. Now he's rocking the beard, so I think he's doing well. He was in The Boys. You caught him in The Boys, right?
Yes. No.
So
No, because I don't watch that show. But I think somebody.
he,
You
yeah,
told me about it.
he played a superhero called Mesmer, and he has the ability to read people's minds. And so, but he was, he doesn't want to be a superhero. He's trying to be a normal person, but he has that superhero ability, and they use him. Butcher, Carl Urban's character Billy Butcher uses him to do something, and then he has a particularly gruesome death scene, which is really nasty. But yeah, Haley's doing awesome.
No, he's fine. I was being very mean. It was a mean-spirited joke. All right, everybody. It's late. I didn't plan on being on here for 2 hours. Jesus Christ. My goodness. It's late. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go do the thing I meant to be doing before jumping on this to
watch my latest video.
When did you put it out?
Dropped today.
Oh, okay. That's why I haven't seen it, because I've been working on other projects. I just sat down to write a script for my next, so I'll check it out. I will do that.
What are you writing?
My next for the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tony.
Yes.
Stop being the sun down there, you reflective motherfucker. When are you going to put out some new content?
I'm very, very bright, aren't I?
You are like me being on top of you. Mm-hmm.
I tell you what. I'm just going to voice this here and now. If we ever get the opportunity, I want to shoot a movie in Australia.
Yeah.
I do. I want to shoot a movie in Australia because I love, Dan McLean's Wolf Creek. I love the cinematography. I the capturing of the outback is it's someone who knows how to do it right, and then so many directors who do. And I love Australian horror films, and you can get away with so much down there. And I want to do it one day, and I guarantee you, I will have a role for Tony in it. I will.
Yeah,
I will have some.
We'll just have to make sure, because I don't think Tony lives in that area.
I'm quite certain that that he's willing to come out if he's got the time. We can bring him out to do it, especially if I'd be like, I wrote this movie and we got the budget, and Jim Jarrett's going to be in it. You want to be in it, Tony? You want to act across from Jim Jarrett?
I do want to act across from Jim Jarrett.
There
he traumatized my younger brother.
There you go. See, amazing.
My younger brother. So Jim Jarrett was famous for playing Mr. Jim on Play School. So that's what my younger brother grew up with, Mr. Jim on Play School, and then he watched Wolf Creek.
Oh yeah, I can see that being a little bit of a culture shock, or not culture shock, but definitely like.
And he loves playing that role. You can tell Jim loves playing, Mick Taylor. Oh. Damn.
I'm telling you, I can say this wholeheartedly. It is so much fun playing bad guys. It's the most fun.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I played both good guys and bad guys, and I played a bunch of nothings. But it's so much more fun playing the bad guy.
Oh, Brooke, if there could be kangaroos, then I will get roos, big reds,
big fuckers, the ones that look like Ronnie Coleman back in the '90s. If you guys know who that is, there you are. Look, everybody, I popped on this to do the thing I said, would say what I had to say about Coded. Please, if you need help, 988. That works. I believe. Does 988 work as a suicide prevention line down in Australia, Mr. PH Gigantic D, Tony?
So, but the relevant resource is called Lifeline.
Okay.
And their number is 131114.
Y'all motherfuckers got to make everything complicated.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 131114. They have 24-hour call centers to offer support. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I can offer anyone is you need to determine whether or not to allow someone to influence you. I know you don't always get a choice, but with a personality like Coded, you just need to recognize that that is excrement in human form. His entire purpose is to inflict harm on anyone he can reach, and that's why he's so attention seeking. He is absolutely enraged by the fact that he can't get my attention, that he can't hurt me, because I don't care what he says. He can say whatever the fuck he wants, whatever homophobic nonsense occurs to him, because I don't give a rat's ass. Because anybody who listens to him, similarly, not worth paying any attention to. He's just something you move past and you go, huh, I didn't realize things that horrible existed. Now I know better, and I'm going to stick around it. It's like wandering down the street and there's a big puddle of pus-riddled, maggot-laden dog shit in the pavement. You walk around it, you move on, and that's how you live life.
CTVT in human form.
Exactly.
Evolution is true. It has become sentient.
There is that 131114 in the right there down there in the comment that wrote no last name is posted as well. That's the Australian suicide prevention hotline. It's called Lifeline, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Lifeline. And then again, 988 here in the States, and I believe in the UK as well, get you to the suicide hotline. Again, if you find yourself in a situation where you're contemplating harm, or someone comes to you contemplating harm, please make sure that you get help or get that person help as best you can.
As isolated as you can feel, people do care.
Yes.
And people don't want you to harm yourself and won't be happier if you do. Even though it can feel that way, it's not true. That more often than not, it's depression fucking with you.
Yes.
And it's a permanent solution to what are normally temporary problems. It's a battle, I know, but don't let fuckers like Coded convince you there are people out there who do care about you, who do want you to be happy, whole, and alive, and will be much happier for you still being there.
Yes. Again, seek help any way that you can. But, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to get out of here. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.